And now it's time for me to open the house for question and answers. Both our speakers are available. There are already certain questions that have come in. I think Arun has already written the question over there. So that's for Jaspal, if you would take it on, or should I ask Arun to ask the question himself?
Sure, let me address that. I knew this question would come. I'm always asked this question about feedback. Look, we are all in the education sector. First of all, there is this thinking that teachers don't like feedback from their students. In some schools, when I ask, I had a lot of issues when I tried to put in feedback systems many years ago, but the teachers pushed back. They were saying, like, what would this kid say? Because they're all worried about what they will say. But look, how many of us have heard, oh, this math teacher is no good, that math teacher is no good. So these are all anecdotal. But if the students are asked, were you inspired? Did you understand what the teacher was saying? A simple question, do you want this teacher again next year? I think you will get a lot of feedback. So we have 4 kinds of feedback system in our school. 1, parents give feedback on the school. And my advice to school is not to do it at the end of the year, because there's 1 year wasted. Try to do it in the middle of the year, so at least you can salvage the school the next 6 months. 2, our teachers give feedback on the principal, anonymously, by the way, because Asians are always afraid to give feedback because we think of some sort of recourse. So teachers give feedback on the principal anonymously. 3, students give feedback on the teachers, middle school students give feedback. I had to negotiate these questions. And lastly, teachers and heads of school give feedback on people like me and my management. Thank you.
Did that address your question?
Yes, to quite an extent. So,
that's nice.
The point is that very few people even like to give a feedback.
Yeah.
Right.
Mr. Arun, our students today are posting all kinds of things on social media. That's feedback. So if any teacher who thinks students cannot give feedback,
No, I'm not talking about students. I'm saying the teachers giving feedback.
Oh, okay. They don't want to give feedback.
Yes.
Okay, then I think we need to look at the environment, because feedback should not be punitive.
Yeah. So, my concern was teachers giving feedback, not students. I agree. The children give feedback, enough feedback.
Yep. Understand. I have one other thing in my school I should let you know. I'm probably the only school in this part of the world where I have a whistleblowing policy. So if anyone thinks there's anything funny happening in the school, they have an independent number that they can call. Because I think, in many schools, the owners, the grandmother is supplying in the canteen, the uncle is supplying the furniture. I hate all of these things. So we have this kind of systems in place where arm's length relationships need to be declared. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
That's very true. If there's anyone who would like to ask a question, you can always unmute yourself, or you can always message over there. So you spoke about teachers, and you also said that you're going in for local teachers and you find them good enough, and you gave us the qualities of teachers. So how do you actually pick teachers?
So, okay, that's a very good question, right? What is the current way of picking teachers? You need a teacher, you advertise, some headhunter will give you a teacher, you take that teacher and you put that body in front of the classroom, deal done. So when I spoke to Facebook, so when we did the effector model, and we've got a playbook on how to train and recruit teachers, we spend time, Charles, looking at ideas outside the education industry. So I spent 18 months talking to the vice president of Facebook, vice president of Starbucks, and all these people. You know what I learned from them? I learned 2 things. Hire for attitude, train for skills. Now that's important. So how do you find these teachers is a very big question. So in our effector model, we have quite a thorough way of sieving teachers out. We collect videos, we ask them to write. It's like applying for a university. Write me an essay and tell me what are your fundamental values. Why are you applying for us? Are you an effector? Show me how you use humor in classroom. So and then we have boot camps where we pick the best teachers. So the problem is we take the shortcut and therefore we put the wrong person in front of the classroom, and who suffers, Charles? The students suffer. And that's the sad part.
So I just add to that, there's a question. For example, in Indian schools, you need the B.Ed, right? Which again is a stumbling block for us, because we find that certain teachers who are not B.Eds and who are doing extremely well on YouTube and other places, they are much better. So do you find that the B.Ed, what are your comments on that?
Look, those are regulatory environments that I don't want to comment on. Okay, because I'm very careful when I make comments on government regulations. Indonesia has its own regulations. But I think amongst those with degrees, with B.Ed degrees, there are a lot of teachers. I went to Chennai, I met some teachers who were fresh graduates. They come to me and they said, this is why I want to stay in Chennai. I don't want to go anywhere. My father is here, my mother is here. I want to work in a great school. And I need a learning journey that you will make me an effector. So it's a process. It's a process. The second thing I learned from Facebook, which I should share from, and I don't want to dominate this because I'm sure Candida will have her own questions to answer. One other thing I should share with you, which I learned from Facebook and the Starbucks of the world, is the hiring process, or what they call the onboarding process, is very, very important. When you hire someone and you put in the class, what do? End of the story. We go back to our work. It's her problem. Is the head of department. Whereas the Facebooks of the world look after in the first 6 to 7 months in a very robust onboarding program. And that's something we have put into place in our school, because the first 6 months will dictate how that, or at least the first 3 months will dictate how the teacher is going to perform. Lots to learn from outside the education industry, folks.
Thank you. And we have 3 questions again for you, I think, that come by Siddhisha and MathGym. So maybe you can address them. But before that, I'd like to bring in Candida, because we give you a little rest. So Candida, you said that critical thinking, and you're talking about it from grade 3. What do you think that children below that grade, are they not good enough for critical thinking?
No, they are, but the program that we have is developed completely online, and below grades 3, they still need the teacher to sit with them to think. So we do have the manual program available for them, where our mentors go to schools, teach them in a class setting. So that is still there. But yes, even grade 1 and grade 2 still are there critical thinkers. Like there was one of my nieces who asked, who cuts the moon in the night? So we still do have critical thinkers even in that age. But our program is focused from grades 3 to 8, because after grades 8 onwards, they do have their own set of curriculum or whatever to move on to, and the program is made in a way where concepts are taught to them online. So I would say a 7-year-old is ready to understand or pick up on his own. He doesn't have to have a teacher or a mentor there full time. But whereas grades 1 and 2 do need their teachers there.
That's nice. Thank you so much. And before Yeah, sure, you have. So before we wrap up, I'd like Jaspal sir to kindly take on those 2 questions.
I will, Charles. They're very good questions. And again, many of you who have heard me, I'm a blunt guy. So let me tell you this, right? This whole idea of foreign teachers in schools comes from what? The level of school fees you are charging. The higher the fees, psychologically, parents want to see foreigners. Now, what do? In my organization, I have schools at multiple price points. At a price point, foreigners it doesn't make sense. There's a psychological point. But even when I have foreigners, I make it a point to groom my local teachers, place them under the foreigners, give them more face time, and slowly but surely swap. The parents need time to accept some of the locals. But if you always say one foreigner replaced by another foreigner replaced, you are playing to the gallery. You need yourself to believe that you have great teachers in your community, but there's this psychological shift that you need to work. One. Number two, there's this question about whether MEd offered from University of the People with IB and added advantage. Look, qualifications always help. But I'm not a person who believes in qualification. Qualification for me are regulatory purposes. I look for attitude. Now, if that person has a great attitude, that person should be in the school. Now, someone asked me the question about what do you do with teachers who are into the system through recommendation, but they lack the attitude? So my first question is, how in God's name did they come into the system through recommendation? You should have a system in place. But okay, chalo, never mind. Someone said this is a great teacher, you accepted her or you accepted him, and he's in the system. What do you do? Number one, you can't fire a teacher in the middle of the year. You have a big problem, right? We all know, unlike any other employment, getting rid of teachers in the middle of the school year is a big headache. So what do? You constantly have to be on the teacher, improving her. I don't like to terminate people. In my system, people go through counseling, they go through training, they do self-reflection, because when we terminate them, they themselves decide, I think I need to be terminated because this organization is too much for me. So don't always jump on the termination. You need to counsel, you need the principal needs to come in. And teachers know, right? When you have someone viewing your lesson a few times, you know you are in trouble already, right? And we do that. And our feedback system pick up things very, very quickly. Folks, whatever you do, my message to you is this. Please ensure you have robust feedback systems in your school, not based on some anecdotal stories here and there. That mother said this, that father said that, one board member said this, the sister of the investor said that. No. Data must speak for itself. Thank you.
I think that's amazing, and we've come to the end. So thank you so much. It was really wonderful. So I would like to thank my esteemed speakers today, Jaspal Sidhu and Candida Williams. I'm sure we have all had an inspirational evening. Thank you for joining us today for an enlightened session. I hope the audiences are walking out with insightful takeaways from today's session. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow again at 5 p.m. with another set of guests. Till then, have a wonderful evening. And this is Charles Clarence signing off for you. Good night, everyone, from Sacred Schools International Summit with Incredible Schools, presented by Alumnus and powered by Singapore MathGym. God bless us all, and good night.